You're listening to A Word With on WVCD 96.5 FM and 790 AM, a space for thoughtful conversations with visiting speakers where ideas continue long after the lecture ends. Because the most important part of the conversation is what happens next. This is A Word With.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition. My name is Clarence Jones, and today I am having a word with
Ruth Woodliff-Stanley, Bishop of the Episcopal Diocese of South Carolina.
Well, thank you, Bishop, for joining me today. And of course, this is a very special day as we are celebrating the celebration of Absalom Jones. Yes. And what does Absalom Jones mean to you?
Absalom Jones is a pioneer who changed the entire trajectory of the history of the Episcopal Church by becoming the first African-American priest of the Episcopal Church, and by also his witness with Reverend Allen during the plague of the yellow fever, when they were so courageous in staying in the city when so many others abandoned their post, but they stayed and they served those who knew and loved them. But most significantly, I will say, they also served those who did not respect them, and yet they stayed and bore witness to the gospel of Jesus. And so for me, Absalom Jones is a reflection of the face of Jesus and the kind of 360-degree full circle love that we're called to bear, both to those whom we call friends, those whom we don't know, and those who are our opponents as well.
And I'm glad that you said love, because given the environment that we are in today, It seems like we need to spread more love throughout everybody, throughout all cultures, all races.
There is no doubt about that as we have just seen, right, yes, in a recent powerful halftime show, the only thing that is stronger than hate is love. And we, as those who follow Jesus, must bear witness to that love. And love, as we know, is not just a sentiment. Love is an action that contains within it the fierce commitment to God's justice, God's mercy, and God's welcome of all. Now,
to you yourself, please tell the audience just a little bit about yourself and how did you get into ministries?
So I was raised as a child of the South. I was raised in Mississippi during the Civil Rights era, so a very turbulent and important time. And I was blessed by a family of faith and raised me up in the church, in the Episcopal Church, but also by powerful mentors who helped me to hear the call of Jesus and his claim on my life, and helped me understand that even in a context at that time, this tells you a little bit about my age, when we didn't know if women were going to be fully approved to serve in the ministry, I had beautiful people in my life, including my brother and others, who said, yes, you have a call upon your life, and so don't give up, but persist. And I'm fortunate because the leaders in my church really saw that. And as I said, key mentors helped me understand how to say yes to that call.
Wow. Now, of course, what was it like when you got the call to say become bishop of the Episcopal Church here in South Carolina?
So I have a dear friend who always says, find out what has your name on it and do that, right? Because we can't all do everything for the sake of the gospel, but we might want to, but we can't. And you don't always know what has your name on it until you're in hindsight, right? Mm-hmm. But again, a dear friend and mentor of mine said, I think you need to pray about this and put your name forward and discern with these folks in South Carolina. And I said, oh, they're not going to ever elect me. That's kind of silly. But I listened, and I listened to what the folks here were saying they're hungry for. Mm-hmm. And there are things that my heart longed for, too. This diocese has been through a tough division, a schism, and there was a longing for healing and repair after that, and rebuilding, which we're in a joyful season of. And then also, I heard the hunger for justice, particularly racial justice, in this diocese with, Gadsden's Wharf being in Charleston, where nearly half of all enslaved people, as we know, came in through this one place. I mean, Elizabeth Evelyn Wright's own story, one of persistence in the literal fires she endured, we can go across the state. Robert Smalls, the story goes on, right? And I knew, because I had grown up in a very racist South during the Civil Rights era, I'd known since a young age, back to my friend's phrase, that this work of justice, racial justice, has my name on it, that I'm called to do this work for as long as I live. So I felt really compelled by the intersection of those priorities as I discerned with this diocese. So I had, again, no idea they'd ever asked me to come, but when they did, I said yes with all my heart.
Yes. Now, of course, you're no stranger here to Voorhees University, but explain the relationship and why it's so important to have that relationship between the Episcopal Church and Voorhees.
Well, I think the Episcopal Church is so blessed by our two historic HBCUs, Voorhees University and St. Augustine, and we have for years understood that our HBCUs provide historically an opportunity to educate our brilliant young folk, and when other places were turning away African American students. And so that legacy has now persisted to this day, when this, for me, is just one of the brightest lights. And I don't exaggerate when I say this, globally. This is a bright light globally, because we see that graduates of Voorhees go to the four corners of the earth, right? And are involved in ministry, in architecture, in the arts, in medicine, in teaching, in every possible discipline. And I find it utterly inspiring. And every time I'm on the campus, I see that nature of this university reflected in the students, in the faculty, in the staff. As you know, we were talking about earlier, the hospitality is a reflection of that. But also the clear purpose and the drive that the students and the faculty together share. It's really, it's quite an inspiring place, and it means so much to me that it is part of our diocese, and that I have the privilege to be to sit on the board, to be part of those very engaged deliberations, to be part of the life of the university. It's just been a great joy for me to be engaged at Voorhees.
Now, we have a few minutes left, but want to get your message, or at least to the radio crowd. What do you see in the future of the church, given, again, today's climate and what's going on geopolitically wise and whatnot? What is the future?
I think it is a really compelling time to follow Jesus, and we have a clarion call to be living prophetically, as we just heard Dr. Smith say about Absalom Jones, that he lived prophetically for the sake of beloved community. Again, that's what's happening here at Voorhees under the leadership of President Hopkins. You are living prophetically. It's impacting the entire community. So it's not just our words. I'm always asking myself and our folks across the diocese, are we doing what God calls us to do? And I think bearing witness by word and action in every place where we are, that love is stronger than hate, that there is no stranger, we welcome the stranger and make them our friend, that we are willing to stand firm, as we heard in the scripture today, for the sake of the gospel of Jesus, who welcomed all people, who was himself often an outcast, and by the establishment, by the authorities. So we know this journey, and it is not a new journey. It is not a new journey in the history of this country or in the history of our world. So I think our call is not about partisan politics. It's about the gospel. And when the gospel aligns with certain values, we must speak in the public square. So we must use our voice for those who are most vulnerable. So those who right now are facing the terror of being ripped away from their homes, their families, who are experiencing violence. The Episcopal Church is seeking in every place where we live and move and have our being to be present and to be ministering. We're doing that, I'm proud to say, in our diocese in South Carolina. We are being present with immigrants. We are being present with those who are living in fear and terror. And we are saying we stand with you, because that's who Jesus calls us to be. So I am really compelled about my baptismal vows being at the heart of our call right now, which is to seek and serve Christ in all persons and to respect the dignity of every human being. And, you know, all means all. Like, there are those that are hard for us to love, right? Anybody. And you don't get any exception clause in that. All means all, right? So that's the gospel call right now in our times.
Well, Bishop Ruth, thank you so very much for having a word with me here. Again, I appreciate all that you have done for the Episcopal Church and continue to do for us. And again, thank you so very much for giving this time with us here. We appreciate it.
Thank you. It is a great honor and it's a blessing. Thank you for interviewing me and giving me this opportunity to have a word with you.
Thank you so much. And thank you for listening in. As again, I had a word with Bishop Ruth. Thank you so very much. And I'm Clarence Jones. Thank you for tuning in, and we will talk to you next time.
That concludes this episode of A Word With. Thank you for listening to WVCD 96.5 FM and 790 AM. To see photos of our guests and stay updated on all things Voorhees, follow us on Instagram at WVCD Radio and at Voorhees University, and on Facebook at Voorhees University 1897. Join the conversation online, and we'll see you in the next one.